Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I am your host, Whitney Sewell. Recently I was speaking at a conference just with some amazing entrepreneurs who are doing big things, and I was sharing some things that I think maybe I've never shared on the show. I wanted to share with you, our listeners, so to help you in your syndication business. And I want to share a secret with you today, and you're going to think, well, that seems so simple once I share it with you. But I want you to think through it for yourself. And I want you to think about, have you done this in your business? And I'm going to give you a couple things to just contemplate, think about over the next few days. I would love to hear from you. One way or the other, you can leave a comment in YouTube or on Facebook or email us even at info@LifeBridge Capital. We'd love to hear from you. But I'm going to share a secret with you today that has helped us to raise a lot of capital. I mean, it has helped us to move very fast, right? Going from, I think, $250,000 on our first raise, just a few years later, raising tens of millions in a few hours often. So it's something you have to know. It's something you have to be doing. It does not happen overnight, but it seems to be a secret. It seems like many people have not thought about this. I ask clients that I'm working with and other people outside the industry often this question, and they cannot articulate it. They cannot give an answer. If you do not know the answer to this, you need to figure it out. And it's going to change not only the way you do business, but it's going to change everything about your business. It's going to change the way you interact with your team members. It's going to change the way you hire people. It's going to change the way that you interact with your family. It's going to change the way that your family interacts with you and your business and all those things, right? But before I get to some of that, some of the secret or just the things that I want to ensure that you are aware of, there's some questions I want you to think through. And first, I get this question all the time. What helped us to scale so fast? And there's so many things. There's so many pieces to that. And I wanted to back up a little bit before we get into any of that. I want you to know that, obviously, this is second to integrity and, just being a top-notch operator, working, just for your investors, for your team. All that is crucially important. If you're not operating with just the highest level of integrity at all times, please do not bother trying to start a syndication business or a commercial real estate business and working with investors, right? And taking other people's hard-earned money. I just want you to think through that. If you are not operating with just an extreme integrity and pushing that, even when it's uncomfortable, this is not for you, right? This is not the business for you. And it's always in any business too, especially in ours, you got to keep the long game in mind, right? You have to think long-term. And if you're not thinking long-term, you're just not going to last. You are not going to last because none of this happens overnight. None of it happens without just so many hours put in. And so one thing I want to share too is just a little bit of a story. If you listen to show 1000, 1001, 1007, 1008, where my amazing bride, Chelsea, and I talk about our path, right? From no real estate to our first piece of real estate and why, what pushed us into real estate and just many things the Lord did through that process in our marriage and our family. You're going to hear part of that, a part of this story, but there's a few pieces in our business here that I want to share today that will go along with that. But we shared a story about how we were probably been married a year or so roughly and had our biggest fight that we had ever had. And thankfully probably still our biggest fight. And I say, you know what? I came home and I found a deal, right? I found a deal and I made a purchase. And ultimately, Chelsea was upset, right? I mean, I had spent her money and there's different things we share. And I encourage you to go back and listen to that series with her and I, because it's comical now. Thank the Lord. It's comical. But I encourage you to go back and listen to part of that so you'll understand more about that specific story. But one of the main parts is that we were not on the same mission, right? We were not going the same direction. And that changes everything, right? Have you had those discussions and thinking through where you're going, a year from now, and even 2 years from now or 3 years from now? What is your plan and how you're getting there? And even deeper than that, like, why are you doing it, right? What is your mission? And Chelsea and I at that time were not on the same mission. We had not discussed those things, and that big fight, I mean, it was amongst lots of other things that were happening. I mean, it was a police officer working the worst schedule you can imagine. And then also we bought a couple triplexes and I was self-managing, just lots of stress and just brain damage around that, lots of learning as well. But that was a difficult time. But also, we were living in a house that I was remodeling while living there. And I often say, Chelsea had to wash the dishes in the bathtub for a lot longer than I like to admit. It was just a lot of stress, right, on a new marriage. And we got through it and learned so much about each other and are a lot stronger because of it. But that purchase that I made, and it comes from two different backgrounds, right? Hers and mine, and the way we were raised and teachings around finances and even the way we buy things, right? And just no education, really, and no thought process of what we should communicate about, how big of a purchase should we talk about, and hadn't really thought through that. But this purchase was a $250 weed eater. I mean, it was $250 weed eater. However, it was just the straw that broke the camel's back amongst all this other stress that I ultimately put on us, and just trying to go as hard as we could go. But it wasn't the right time for most of that. However, we learned a lot, right? And I look back reflecting on that, and I think we were not on the same mission, and it wasn't until we were that things really started to take off, right? And if I could not, if we had not been on the same mission, none of this would have happened over the last 4 or 5 years in our commercial real estate business. And I want to give you another piece of that puzzle as well, though, today, in thinking through one piece of the foundation that helped us to scale really fast. And that is, you must show up to give, and you must show up to give. It is almost that simple, but it is so in depth. And you've probably heard that before, but I just wonder if you've thought about that. Like every conversation, like don't think so much about win-win. Think more about, showing up to give so that other person can win. Okay. And we're going to talk a little more about that. And I want to hit on the mission component as well. Because it's been so crucial as Chelsea and I have pushed this business, as we have moved forward. But it wasn't until we really had clarity, right? We had clarity about our mission, our cause, our why. And so that helped my family, right, to be going in the same direction, right? Because Chelsea's not into, say, real estate or entrepreneurship. However, she is 110% behind our mission. And that has helped me more than anything. Just her support. I could not have done it if she was not on board, as hard as we have pushed the last few years. It just would not have worked. Even though she's not working in the real estate business every day, my goodness, she is my best teammate, right? But I just want you to think through this mission. We're going to talk through it a little bit more because I bet very few of you, if any of you, can articulate what that is. But it's not only going to help your family, it's going to help your team as well. And my team knows what our mission is now. But I just ask you, do you know? Can you articulate what that mission is? Does your spouse, your team know? But also, do your investors know? Like, have you thought about that? Like, do your investors know what your mission is? Is your mission just around money or something, monetary value? Is that your mission? Because I would just encourage you to think through that and it be something much deeper than just a monetary number, right? But just a few things that might help you there, and just like finding that mission that you're connected to. But what is a cause or something that you are passionate about? And I just want you to think through working for something other than just financial gain, because that's going to happen. That is going to happen when you are helping others, when you have some kind of mission that's bigger than yourself. It's going to happen. That financial gain, it is. But why are you in business? And I just think you have to exist for more than just money. And believe it or not, your investors want more than just a return. And they can get a return from so many operators. They can get a return in so many different ways, right? Just in different types of investments, but so many operators, and there's so many great operators, right? But what's different about you? I get that question often, right? And I'm sure if you're an operator, you get that as well. But what stands out about you? And what do you provide that no one else provides? And so your mission should, it should inspire you. It should inspire your company, your family. It should inspire your investors even as well. And I just, I hear often, our investors love partnering with us, not just because we're finding great projects, we're providing great returns, all those things, the tax benefits that come along with that, and just white glove experience, for our investors. That is always our desire. We are improving the process for, of every touch that we have with investors, every chance that we get. And our team I push them all the time. Like, well, let's think about that process. How did it work? And let's improve it. If you were an investor, what did that feel like? Was that smooth? Was that easy for them? And did they get all the information that they needed? How can we improve that? But that's what we want to portray, right? But they still want more than just that. Or it's such a massive bonus when they can see that they're playing a role in a mission that's bigger than just financial gain. Okay. I want you to think about that. And just, if you need to pause this for a minute, I would encourage you, can you articulate what your mission is? Because it's going to inspire others. So, determine I wanted to read a few quotes here to you. So your income is determined by how many people you serve. I'm sure you've heard that, but just want you to consider a few of these things. Your compensation is directly related to how many lives you touch. Your compensation is directly related to how many lives you touch. If you want more success, find a way to serve more people. I know some of them were some older quotes and some were Simon Sinek and different people like that. But I just want you to think through that. Those really hit home with me years ago. And I hope they're hitting with you as well. But you must put your mission into words, and it must be ingrained in everything you do. So no one, including you, can get behind your mission or your why if it's not written down. You must write it down. So not only you can see it often, but so all those people, right? Your family, your team, your investors, they need to be able to see it. It needs to be ingrained in your branding. Like that's what you represent. That's just your big cause, your mission. You've seen that in our branding most likely, or our investors definitely have. But even still, as hard as we're working to just push our mission, not just forward in LifeBridge Capital, but our mission, right? We want to see that mission succeed, and obviously that's helping families adopt children. That is our mission. Our family has been, just touched. The Lord has used adoption in a big way in our family, and to grow my wife and I and my children, and so that's something we are very passionate about. And so we love helping these families, right? We started the LifeBridge Foundation that does that now, right? And it's operating. So it's just amazing to see that happening. We want to continue to grow that. So that's our big push, right? Behind LifeBridge Capital. But I just encourage you, do all these people know what your mission is? If you even know what it is. So having that mission, it changes things, right? And maybe I'll do another show on this, but it changes things. And even if I'm sure I've talked about it in the past, but I just want to encourage you, when you can talk to an investor and you're sharing about your mission, you're sharing about something outside of real estate, right? It helps you to stand out, right? And there's a connection that's made that is much deeper than just talking about real estate. If you're at a conference, there's 200 people there. I mean, how many of those conversations do you expect to remember? Much less, those investors that are there that maybe you're speaking to, how many people are they going to remember? And if every one of them were talking about real estate or this amazing deal, or maybe the market that they're in, or most likely they're not going to remember who you are. They're just not, right? And so what I started to notice years ago when I would start to share our mission, man, they would remember who I was. It changes the dynamic of the conversation completely, right? It changes that. And I'll get into a little bit more of that in another show, maybe next week. But I just want you to think about today, what is your mission? Can you articulate it? How is it tied to your business? If you know it, if you don't know, I encourage you to just get in a quiet place, maybe with your spouse as well. That would be amazing if both of you could be on board about what this is, about why you're pushing this business. Why are you spending all this time? And if it is just for financial gain, I just encourage you to really think through that. Financial gain will come, right? It will come. But that will not keep you motivated, time after time when you're knocked down as an entrepreneur, when things happen, even just, it's tired night or, lack of sleep after, night after night after night, man, that's not going to keep you getting out of the bed. Typically, very few people, I would say. You have to have something bigger than that. And if you want to scale fast, if you want to go from raising $250,000 in your first deal to a few years later, raising 5 to 10 million or more per deal in a very short period of time, you got to have something more for you and your investors and your family than just financial gain. So I hope that has encouraged you. I hope you're thinking through that mission for you right now. And if you don't know, I encourage you to go to LifeBridge Capital. I would love to connect with you, whether you're an investor, whether you're an operator, you're trying to get started. We probably have some way to help you. I would love to help you personally, if at all possible. Have a blessed day.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.